but also I want to share uh, because I want other people to have an easier path than I did. So thank you so much. And it's hard for me to celebrate, but I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna get into this right now because I don't want to delay any longer. And so let's see. Yeah, there we go. It actually worked. Can you believe it? When technology works, it works. So thank you so much for congratulating me on that as well. But I'm really excited because I got this little stream deck thing. I'm gonna have to do some stuff about it because I am also an adjunct professor, and it helped me to make switches better. So let's get into it. So tonight we're going to talk about realigning your career during a transition. And I'm going to say we're all in the transition. Why? Because the transition is you've been riffed or laid off. You are still waiting to know if that might happen. So you're in a influx. You've been left behind. I actually have a session next Monday on that topic, being left behind. Um, or you've been part of the planning of this as well, right? And so, what to do when you're ready for change, but you don't know where to start? So, wherever you are in this process, right? And then the other side of it is people like me who are helping people to transition. And I just can't wait to unpack tonight's topic for you this afternoon. So, I'm a career and executive coach. You can see my new credential, the ACC. I put it on there. I got to do a whole announcement, but you're the first audience to publicly hear that I am now a credential coach, and I'm so excited about that. But also a life coach, a business consultant, primarily focusing on HR, but really focusing on helping businesses and entrepreneurs and business owners, small businesses mostly, to scale and profit, right, in their business. I'm also an HR mentor. So if you're new to HR or you're in a solo HR situation, or you've got a bunch of new HR people and you need someone to help them to become better HR professionals, I'm your person. I'm a speaker and a workshop facilitator and also an adjunct professor, right? Which I'm excited about. And the two arms of my business are Dare to Dream Careers and HR for Profit. And so I'm here to help you in either of those spaces. So, welcome. So, why are we here tonight? We're here tonight because I want to help you transition. No matter where you are at the table of what's been happening right now, maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you feel overlooked. Maybe you're uncertain. Maybe you're an overthinker. Like there's so many people that are overthinkers, and I'm one of them sometimes as well. But I always like attracts like, and so what I'm finding is that sometimes clients that I work with have similar challenges that I've had, some of which I've overcome, some I'm still actively overcoming. But I want to tell you that you're not alone. In fact, career transition is not a solo sport, it is a community based activity. It's kind of like baseball or football or basketball or soccer, right? It is not like golf. Golf is a solo sport, and this is not that. This is your space and time tonight to explore what's possible when the path no longer fits. Um, so thank you. So someone said, I am a graduate student studying HR and employment um, law. So you're my person. Hey, I'm so glad to hear that. Would love to have you schedule some time at the end. I am really identifying two paths to move forward depending on what your goals are. So today is about honesty, it's about clarity and the invitation to a realign with confidence, right? And I have something that I've been sharing, and it's really amazing, but it's going to fill up real quick, uh, for sure next week. You're not behind. I just want to tell you this. You're being invited into this conversation to realign to what really fits for what's next for you. So I'm glad you found this today. So there are 3 signs that you're out of alignment, right? Pay attention to these clues, right? Because clues leave information, they leave breadcrumbs for you to follow so you won't always be like this. You're busy, but you're not fulfilled. And you could even be busy. I was talking to a client of mine who was recently rift in this big rift that happened on July 11th. I'm happy to report I'm going to be doing an interview with her to share in this community on what she did to land a job. She starts her new job on August 25th. Now, I've been working with her for a few months, but in this season, laid off July 11th, starting a new job on August 25th. How about that, right? So people are getting jobs. There are jobs out there, and I have helped them, right? So your calendar's packed. You're doing all these things, and at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you don't really know what you accomplished. And is it really in alignment with where you want to go and grow? And your purpose feels empty. Number 2, you've outgrown your role. It no longer stretches or inspires you, right? And that could literally be that was the case before you got laid off, if you've been ripped or anything like that, right? So know this is that we want to make sure that you find your purpose, that you find a role that you can grow fully into and that stretches and inspires you. Or the last one is so sad, you're underpaid and undervalued, and it's costing you more than your paycheck. It's costing your paycheck because you're not getting paid your value or your worth, but it's costing you your peace of mind. And your peace of mind is worth so much more than that. And at the end of the day, you were made for so much more. In fact, your next role should and must reflect that. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. And so, what to do next? Your realignment starts here. It starts today, not tomorrow, not next week, literally today, right? Because tomorrow's not promised to us. And you've got to get on track today. The best thing I ever did for myself was invest in myself and get help. It's funny, really funny story if I could share. Today, I had to go to the post office to return something. I had to go to the post office and return something. And for the first time in a long time, it wasn't crowded. The post office I go to, most of the post offices in our area are rated out of 5, about a 3.5, 3.7. The post office that is closest to me in Maryland is rated a 1.3 out of 5. That's how bad it is. But today, I was the second person in line. But there was a little girl who was trying to help her mother put tape on this package, right? Put tape on the package. And she didn't want anybody to help her to put the tape on the package. But she was tiny. Like I would say she appeared to be about 3.5 or 4. But super helper, super cute, right? But when I offered to help, she did not want it. In fact, she started crying. But it reminded me to remind you tonight that you always need help, right? You always need help to collapse time on your goals, to prevent you from wasting time, wasting money, and to prevent you from missing out on opportunities that belong to you because you didn't ask for help, right? So don't be like that tonight. Reclaim your strengths. You haven't lost your power. It's time to refocus it. So, one of the things that I am reminded of because I'm spiritual, right? I am faith based, I'm a Christian. For those of you who know, you know, I am an ordained Baptist minister. I'm a seminary graduate, and I know my superpower is my alignment with God's vision for my life. And I was reminded of this past weekend is I should be praying about everything. In fact, last week, because I began to pray over my notes for my ACC exam. I prayed that I would get the resources and tools I needed to pass. And even in the middle of the test, I was calling on the Holy Spirit to guide my mind in picking the right answers and to change and switch the answers that needed to be changed. And I passed. And so for me, I tapped into the superpower of the Holy Spirit and it worked. So whatever that is for you, you need to tap into and reclaim your strength and your power. So it is time to refocus it, to tap into it, and to make sure that you are using that to help you to elevate and move forward towards your goal. You need to that's right, redefine success. Sometimes we have to reframe it. And so I had to reframe this because I was upset still that I didn't pass this test before, but I didn't study and like I should have, and I didn't get and ask for help and I didn't use it. But this time I did all of those things and it worked. So, what does thriving look like now? Right. And I had to remind my client that is starting a new job on August 25th that this is amazing. Like she's often charging off after other things. Let's just be here. Plan a celebration, right? Let people know. Plan your success because after you get the job, you've got to show up, right, as the person that they've hired to do an amazing job. So we talked about preparing for that as well. And then decide to move forward. Staying stuck is also a decision. In fact, a choice. There, you can move forward, you can stay where you are, you could go in reverse. But deciding not to move and staying stuck is also a decision. And I'm here to tell you, it is not one that I ever, I mean ever want my clients to do, right? Like I never want them to do that, right? Never want them to do that because staying stuck, it creates frustration. It delays the ability for you to be successful, right? You're missing out on the best of what you could be and the possibility. In fact, I worked with a client several years ago when after moving to the DMV region, and I had already helped this individual to land a job for free, right? Can I say that again? For free. And then when I monetized my business and what I was already doing, the first thing she asked me was if I had a website. She delayed her possibility of success for 9 months. She ended up landing a job making over $150,000, but she had to get out of her own way, right? So if we calculated that 150,000 just by 10 months is about 10,000, it is about $15,000 a month. So a little less than that, right? Is what she lost because it took her 8, 9, 10 months before she eventually said yes. And then the few months that it took us to work together. But that's the money that she left on the table. So I'm telling you today, I want you to stop waiting and start designing what's next. Things do not happen by accident. Like today, you're not here. You're not here by accident. And some of you will be watching this on replay. And if you should also watch it on replay, this is what I want you to do. What I want you to do is make sure you connect with me and let me know, because I'm not going to promise that I'm going to keep this up a really long time, but let's keep going. So what's getting in the way? There are 3 common blocks that stall progress. It's old titles and labels. Labels, the title that you had before may not necessarily be the title that you want. And the label that you've labeled yourself, they no longer reflect who you've become. In fact, former First Lady Michelle Obama says this best in her book, Becoming, right? So sometimes this is only the beginning of what's possible, right? It's not the end. And sometimes you have to reimagine what that looks like. I'm working with some clients right now who were working in spaces that no longer exist, right? They no longer exist, but the skills, the knowledge, the abilities, the passion that they have is still there. So they may have to call themselves something different and release that old title and that old label, so that they can take hold of something new. The second block that stalls progress is a fear of risk or rejection, right? And I'm going to tell you something about rejection. So, rejection just means not now. Rejection just means that maybe you were saved from an outcome that wasn't for you now or ever. What if it doesn't work? Keeps you playing smaller than you should be, right? And so I can't even imagine why, when I was initially studying for my ACC, that I did not seek advice, expertise, and help from people who had already passed and who knew, right? But once I did, like, it was a much easier path, right? So it's the company that we keep, right? And sometimes it's zero cost, but sometimes there's an investment, right? But what I've learned personally is I've learned that we invest. This is a Les Brown saying, we invest at the level we want to see results. And so that sometimes it's dollars, but sometimes it's just our time. And sometimes it's getting out of our way, right? To give way to the path forward, right? So whatever it is for you, know this, that it's going to be time involved, and it might be some dollars as well. And then three, a common block is isolation. You've been trying to do this alone. Again, I said it in the beginning. This is not a solo sport. This is not career transition, is not golf. It is basketball, it is football, it is baseball, right? But it is not golf. You cannot do it alone. You need accountability. You need a process, a strategy, and you need a community, because without it, right, you're making mistakes and you're delaying your success when you should not. You're not the problem. You just need a new process, a new way, a proven methodology. And I can't wait to share with you. So, the realignment framework, the dream framework that I teach inside of a community called Career Forward Circle that I am launching. I have launched, um, and I've launched it, but there's no one in there yet because I'm waiting, right, for the number. And it is the Clutter, Realign, Evaluate, Activate, and Master. And this program has been around since 2018. I did a mini mastermind with a bunch of amazing women and defined it. In fact, Dream, I'm going to have to put it in next Monday's slide, is a mural that I pass every day going back and forth to work. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm Midwest values. If you know, you know. And it said dream. And then one day I decided to take a picture. I still have that picture, and it is still the dream. So declutter is to clear out what is no longer serving you in your mind, your body, your spirit, and your environment. It is to realign and connect and reconnect your purpose to God's plan, higher powers plan, and your ultimate potential, because you've been operating much lower at a much lower frequency than you should be. It is evaluate and reflect on where you are and where you're going, and making sure that the plans that you are making will get you to where you want to go. I'll give you a quick example. I was working with someone today and they want a certain salary. And I said, is that salary viable in the organizations that you are applying to, or even in that title? Because you may be setting yourself up for failure, and that's why you're not getting the results, right? And then you want to activate. You want to activate your toolkit. That might be LinkedIn. That might be a plan of action. If you're from HR, HR mentoring, or business coaching, it depends on what that is to make sure that you have the right tools in place so that you can take bold, intentional, aligned actions very easily and simply. A plan of action with the tools that go with it, right? So if you're job searching, that could be your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your elevator pitch, right? It could be the target organizations that you're seeking. If you're a business owner or HR mentor, it could be literally a development plan for yourself, for your business, for your team. And then you want to master the process to build momentum and to keep going and rinse and repeat, right? So the how lives of how all of this works lives inside my coaching programs and also the career forward inner circle, right? From that standpoint. So what else? So what happens next? Now I will tell you, I don't want to hold you long because you choose your next move. And it's two things, right? It's two things. Apply to the career forward circle. It's a community for clarity and momentum. On the next slide, I got to share something, but know this. This offer has a time limit because we're going to get to that number, and once that number is done, it'll still be out there, but it won't be like this special inner circle, right? It'll still be special, but it's going to cost you a little bit. And then you can book a career forward discovery call with me, whether it's for career coaching, for life coaching, for HR mentoring, for business or business consulting. And that's the way to get started. You're not starting over. You're starting from experience because tonight I educated you about what could be possible. So get your phones out. And I want to ask you to choose your next move now, not tomorrow, not next week, but today. And there are 2 QR codes. And as you can see, the secret is the first 100 are free, and then it'll be $57 a month. That's right, in the Career Forward School. And this is an application. There's a coaching community for strategy, clarity, momentum, and career wins, if that's where you are, right? There are opportunities for hot seats and coaching, and all of the training will be available inside of Skool. And then if you're like, I don't want to be in a group, I really want something different, and you want to talk to me one on one, a discovery call, let's talk about your goals and explore if we're a fit together and scan that code. So I made it easier because if you want to move forward with Career Forward Circle on Skool, scan this code. I'll go back to it again, right? Again, I will tell you, I'm getting close to 100 in the group. And so if you're interested, you better go ahead and apply, because after we reach 100, it's still as valuable as ever, but I want to reward those fast action takers with something that is priceless. And then if you think, oh, I want to really learn more about working with you, Lisa, one-on-one or other programs or questions, and make sure that it's a really, really good fit, schedule a discovery call. Now, I will tell you, my discovery calls are no longer free because I happen to be now booked and busy. I can't believe it, but it's true. And so there's a small investment for the call, but it'll be worth it, right? And what else? Next week, I want to tell you, you can RSVP for Left Behind, Not Forgotten, Rebuilding After a Toxic Restructure. Because I'm hearing this from many of my clients and people that are reaching out to me that they're left behind. They don't want to stay. It's toxic. And I need to get out, right? I need to get out. And again, you can RSVP for that. I'm going to go back to that slide, right? And then this is the 2 options. The top one is the Skool group, and feel free to do both. Sign up and apply for the Skool group and schedule a call, right? So I'm going to leave that up for a little while. And I see some people out there. You have a question that I can answer for you, I'm happy to do that. Just drop it in the chat. I could, show the question as well. and I've reached out to HR professionals on here and crickets. Oh, that's a shame. So I am a live HR professional. Feel free to take on one of these paths, the Career Forward Circle, or schedule if you really want HR help, or you want a question answered, or you want a session or whatever it is, then book a Career Forward discovery call with me, right? The discovery call, and we'll figure out what is the best option for you. If you're not already connected to me here on LinkedIn, please do that as well. Because I would love, I'd love to connect. And I'm just looking at the comments. But it's a shame, right? I hear that sometimes, but I'm not the person with crickets. If you reach out to me, one, you'll get an automatic response. That's one. The second thing is, I've been known to send a voicemail message because it shows my energy as well. And I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to see you inside the group. But I committed to making this 30 minutes because I don't want to keep you long. I cannot wait to see you pop up on my calendar or to see you inside Career Forward Circle, because it's already going to be amazing. I'm going to say and wish you good night. Do something fun today, but choose your next move now because time waits for no one. I'll see you next week as well. Don't forget, I'll see you next week for Left Behind Not Forgotten, Rebuilding After a Toxic Restructure. And we got a couple more sessions as well this month. I can't wait to share. I will see you then. Take care. Bye for now. Mm.